USC is on fire right now in recruiting. The Trojans already have 27 commits in the 2026 class, with a strong mix of 1 5-star, 4 stars, and some high upside 3 stars. But here's the problem. There's no guarantee Lincoln Riley will be around to coach them. After 2 disappointing seasons, Riley enters 2025 squarely on the hot seat. The talent is there, the brand is strong, and the NIL machine is finally starting to function. So what does he have to do this season to stay in LA? And what's really at stake if he can't turn things around? My name is Zach, welcome to the Sports Corner at Choose Adventure Media, and let's get into it. When Lincoln Riley took over at USC, it felt like the perfect match. A quarterback whisperer with playoff credentials arriving in Hollywood to restore the glory days of Trojan football. Year 1 showed promise. Caleb Williams won the Heisman, and USC was on the doorstep of a college football playoff appearance. But then came a disappointing 2023, where they went just 7-5 in what was supposed to be a title contending season with the best quarterback in the country. And in 2024, the frustration only deepened. USC lost a series of close games that they simply shouldn't have. They started off really strong, knocking off LSU in the season opener. But just weeks later, they fell to a Michigan team with one of the worst offenses in the country, giving up 27 points in the process. That game summed up the problem. A defense that couldn't get stops when it mattered, and a team that underachieved in key moments. Now, heading into 2025, Riley finds himself in a pressure cooker. Fans want results, boosters want answers, and with USC now in their second season in the Big Ten, the margin for error is thinner than ever. Despite the growing pressure around the program, Lincoln Riley is still landing talent big time. The 2026 recruiting class is already one of the largest and most complete in the country, with 27 total commits. That includes 16 4-star prospects and 10 highly rated 3-stars, giving USC both top-end talent and serious depth. Riley's ability to recruit nationally is still paying off. But what's even more important is that USC is finally reestablishing dominance in Southern California recruiting, including landing 5-star tight end out of Mater Dei, Mark Bowman. For years, powerhouse programs like Alabama and Ohio State came into LA and grabbed elite talent with ease. Bryce Young left for the SEC, CJ Stroud headed to the Big Ten. Now, USC is putting up more of a fight. This class shows that local recruits are once again seeing value in staying home and building something in their own backyard. And while they've already landed 1 5-star commitment, USC is very much in the mix for several other top-tier recruits in the 2026 cycle. It's the kind of group that could reshape the program's trajectory. But here's the catch. None of it will matter if Riley doesn't win this year. If USC stumbles again in 2025, there's a real possibility that the university pulls the plug before this class ever steps foot on campus. The pressure isn't just about wins and losses anymore, it's about protecting the future. The big question for Lincoln Riley in 2025 is, what does he need to do to keep his job? First, it's important to note the schedule actually looks a bit favorable for USC this year. They avoid some of the toughest road trips early on, and there are several winnable games on the slate. So hitting that 8-win mark is absolutely within reach. It's not an impossible ask. That means Riley's baseline is clear. Go at least 8-4 and keep USC moving forward. Anything less, and it's going to be very difficult for the school to stick with him. Second, the defense has to get better. This isn't a new problem for Riley. His teams at Oklahoma also struggled to stop opponents consistently, which only makes the defensive issues at USC even more concerning. If Riley can't field a competent defense in Los Angeles with the resources he has, it's fair to question whether he can ever do it anywhere. That said, USC doesn't have to win the Big Ten this year for Riley to keep his job. What they do have to do is show clear potential to compete for that title either next year or the year after. In other words, the Trojans need to take meaningful steps forward, especially against the top Big Ten teams like Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State. They need to be competitive, not just show up. Another layer to all of this is NIL, and how far behind USC was for far too long. For a program with the brand power of USC, you'd expect them to have one of the best NIL operations in the country. But for the first couple of years under Riley, that just wasn't the case. At one point, there were 3 different NIL collectives operating around USC, yet only one was officially backed by the school. That lack of coordination created confusion for players, donors, and even coaches. Last summer, the number of collectives dropped to 2, and the university started working more closely with the main one. So while the resources may have technically existed, they weren't streamlined, which meant USC was falling behind programs that had clear, unified NIL strategies. Now, things are finally starting to change. USC's NIL infrastructure is becoming more focused and competitive, with better donor support and a clearer path for recruits and transfers to engage. That's part of why this 2026 class looks so promising. But again, it all comes back to Lincoln Riley. NIL might help get players in the door, but if the results don't follow, someone else might be the one coaching them. Lincoln Riley still has the tools to turn USC into a Big Ten powerhouse. The 2026 recruiting class is loaded. The NIL infrastructure is finally catching up, and the schedule in 2025 gives him a real chance to bounce back. But that bounce back has to happen now. Another disappointing season could end his run before he ever gets to coach the class he's building. For Riley, 2025 isn't just about wins. It's about proving he can evolve, fix the defense, and lead USC into the future. If he can't do that, the Trojans might hit the reset button before the real rebuild ever begins. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments, do you think Lincoln Riley will survive the 2025 season? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss what's next here on the Sports Corner. My name is Zach, and I'll see you next time.